Halo 2 is probably the most polarizing campaign in the Halo franchise. Some praise it for its music, story, graphics, presentation, and advances in sandbox elements. Others criticize it for its more linear level design, rushed development, and unfair difficulty. For me, I think Halo 2 is an excellent entry into Master Chief's saga, even if it is my least favorite in the trilogy. I will go into more detail on the pros and cons of the campaign when I review Halo 2 in the future, but as for now, I want to just focus on the missions in the game. Same rules as my Halo CE ranking apply here, so let's just get into it. Coming in at number 13 is Sacred Icon. Beyond a doubt, this is my least favorite mission. Fighting waves after waves of flood through dark Forerunner hallways and gondolas is boring and gives me library flashbacks. Seriously, did Bungie learn nothing from their first outing? The rest of this mission is spent fighting Sentinels, which are by far the most boring and uninteresting enemies in the game. At least the flood can overwhelm you. The Sentinels just kind of sit there. Overall, Sacred Icon just doesn't really have anything going for it, making it the worst mission in Halo 2. The Oracle was close for that last spot in Halo 2, but it will come in here as the second worst mission in the game. The first flood appearance in Halo 2 is extremely forgettable. Most of the level consists of copy-pasted rooms and an elevator ride you sit on and defend waves of flood while it moves slower than molasses. That elevator ride is painful. You eventually cut the support beams of the structure in a set piece that it's not bad, but it also isn't anything really special or interesting. At least you maintain player control throughout that set piece, which is something Halo 2 doesn't do too often. Finally, the mission ends in a Halo boss battle, which means it doesn't really count as a boss battle. It's just really uninteresting fight that is over before it even starts. At number 11, I'm going with Quarantine Zone. The reason Quarantine Zone comes in over Sacred Icon and the Oracle is the addition of vehicles that does freshen up the gameplay a little bit. However, this mission is still spent wandering around in the dark, killing Sentinels and Flood. I just don't see what's supposed to be entertaining here. It may not be a complete waste, but Quarantine Zone remains a mission I dread. The number 10 spot is going to High Charity, which is the first Master Chief mission on this list. High Charity is one of, if not the shortest mission in the game. Every time I play through Halo 2, I forget how short it is. The length of the mission, however, is actually something that works to its favor, avoiding the pitfall that other Flood missions have, where it goes on and on and on. Also, this mission includes a fair amount of Covenant encounters. This helps to keep the gameplay fresh. I also love seeing the beginning of the Flood taking over High Charity from an aesthetic perspective. It makes it really cool when you return in Halo 3 in the Cortana mission. Overall, High Charity is just a few linear rooms. Too short and too easy to feel a particular way about it in any sort of direction. So it comes in here above the 3 previous missions, but doesn't rise any further. Coming in at number 9 is another Arbiter mission. Yeah, it's hard to blame fans for being so negative towards the Arbiter at first, when his first 4 missions end up in the bottom 5 of the game. However, the Arbiter is not necessarily a bad mission. It just suffers from Halo 2's issue of being overly linear at times. Although, in this mission, the Arbiter, your new playable character, does give you some new stealth mechanics. This helps freshen up the gameplay a bit as you can turn invisible, which leads to some interesting strategies that wouldn't otherwise be available when playing as Chief. There's also a solid Banshee section where you dogfight to Incubus. It can be a frustrating section, especially when you get a checkpoint with a beat-up Banshee, and maybe goes on a little bit too long. But overall, the Banshee fight is a positive. The Arbiter may be a little more than a linear corridor-based mission, but it's not that bad and serves as a decent introduction into the Arbiter. The 8th best mission in Halo 2 is CAIRO Station. CAIRO Station fills the same role as the Pillar of Autumn from CE. It's more of a tutorial section with linear encounters that allow you to figure out the control scheme, basic sandbox elements, enemies, and overall feel of the game. It's probably a little too difficult for an opening level, and the 0G section doesn't really do anything or add anything. Another criticism I have is it doesn't quite have as many interesting flanking routes as the Pillar of Autumn did, which makes it a little more forgettable than that. But overall, I think CAIRO Station accomplishes the goals it set out to achieve. I'm going with Outskirts in the number 7 spot. I honestly would put this one higher if it wasn't for the laborious 9-wave defense section in the beginning of the mission. After that train wreck of a section, the mission does start to pick up quite a bit. Sniping through the streets of New Mombasa with some really fun and interesting routes around the city serve as the next section of the game, and makes me wish that they replace the defense section with more of that. Or the next part, where the mission opens up a bit. However, I do wish this part of the mission, the Warthog section, was bigger, more free, and longer overall. Because after this outdoor section, they force you down a tunnel for another mediocre segment in the Warthog. I really do like the meat of Outskirts, but it definitely has some baggage to go along with it. The sixth best mission in Halo 2 is Uprising. Uprising has a lot going for it. The emotional roller coaster of the music, slaying as many brutes as you can, a good mixture of gameplay and some sandbox elements. It's beautifully aesthetic to boot as well. My biggest issue with Uprising actually lies in the brutes. They're just not quite as strong or interesting of an enemy as the elites, and this mission relies more on the brutes than any other in the game. Other than that though, I really do like Uprising and think it's a strong mission. Getting into the top 5 now, I'm going to say Gravemind is the 5th best mission. It's another mission I wish I could put higher, but it just carries too much baggage. The biggest standout for Gravemind is the 3 faction battles, making their return from CE, and they're definitely a highlight here as they were in the original game. Being launched into the Covenant Civil War and just seeing it unfurl before your eyes makes for a memorable experience, and one with lots of gameplay options. I love the look of High Charity too, a beautiful city and art design there. The things I dislike about Gravemind is it's way too many copy-pasted rooms, and it's way too long. The mission can last for over an hour for me. It's also kind of ridiculously hard at places. However, when playing on Heroic, it does stand out as one of Halo 2's stronger missions. Coming in at number 4, I'm going with the best Arbiter mission, and that is the Great Journey. There's a tank section, a vehicle section, an infantry section, and a boss battle to cap off the campaign. Getting to fight along Hunters is also hands down one of the highlight moments from the entire trilogy. Obviously, the boss battle kinda sucks, like a lot of Halo 2's boss battles, and the Banshee section can get a little frustrating, like most Banshee sections, but damn, as a whole, the Great Journey is a great play any day of the week. My third favorite mission in the game is Regret. Regret utilizes some beautiful areas. The Forerunner ruins and underneath water areas are utterly breathtaking. The boss battle is definitely the best in the game as well, even if it isn't great. It's fine though, as it utilizes some verticality and actually makes you utilize some strategy to win. And yes, punching Regret is hilarious. The rest of the mission consists of a variety of Covenant enemies and unique environments and encounters, including the gondola section, which I quite enjoy. Overall, it's not really a special mission, but it is definitely a solid entry into the Halo library. The runner-up for the top spot is Metropolis, which is probably the most iconic mission from Halo 2. You start off with that excellent tank section over the bridge with that music, just an iconic part of the Halo trilogy. Then the tunnel section, and a sniping, and a Warthog section, and then of course the Scarab takedown. I do wish the map was bigger here, and the Scarab fight was better, obviously. But overall, there is a lot of variety in Metropolis, and definitely enough to keep me interested. Plus, it's hard to be kicking the Covenant's ass on our home field. And finally, Halo 2's best mission goes to Delta Halo. I wish I could go on and on about this mission, but I'll try to keep it brief. It's beautiful, it has a tank and a Warthog section, and it's a return to the Halo ring for the first time in this game, and that beginning drop is sick with the music and everything, and that iconic line where Cortana says, "Can we make any more noise?" The only problem I really have is that the fence section in the beginning didn't get off to a great start, but other than that, Delta Halo is one of the highlights of the whole franchise. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope my reasoning was pretty good. If you leave your list down below, I would really love to see them. Although if you do leave them, please leave a kind of short explanation as to why you're putting them where you do, because I don't think lists without an explanation really hold much value. I think you gotta at least explain a little bit of what you're thinking behind each placement is. I'd be really interested to see what you guys say, and if you made it this far, thanks so much. I'll see you guys next time for the Halo 3 rankings.